There's a strange moment in every sports story when the narrative flips. One day, a young star is being torn apart by fans, analysts, and comment sections calling him overhyped, overrated, or straight up disappointing. And then, almost without warning, that same player starts tearing through the league in a way that makes everyone who doubted him look absolutely ridiculous. This season, that moment belongs to Connor Bedard. You don't have to dig very far to remember what people were saying about him not long ago. Baby McDavid. Generational hype machine. Not living up to expectations. The criticism got loud, and at times, brutal. Analysts on national TV questioned his maturity. Fans labeled him a ghost defensively. The word bust popped up way more often than anyone expected for a kid who had barely turned 19. Yet somehow, in the middle of that noise, something changed. Not slowly, not quietly, almost violently, because this year, Connor Bedard isn't just proving people wrong. He's making the entire league look foolish. He's faster than ever, sharper than ever, more dangerous than ever, and the way he's shredding defenses is turning last year's criticisms into some of the coldest takes the NHL has ever produced. But how does a so-called bust go from getting mocked online to embarrassing the NHL? What changed behind the scenes that transformed him from a promising but flawed talent into one of the most terrifying players on the planet? That's exactly what we're about to uncover. Connor Bedard didn't just enter the NHL with high expectations. He arrived with a weight almost no teenager in sports ever has to carry. He wasn't supposed to just be a good player. He was supposed to be the next Crosby, the next McDavid, the latest generational superstar who would single-handedly drag his franchise back from the dead. And the hockey world didn't hesitate to put that on his shoulders immediately. But reality hit harder than the hype machine ever did. His rookie season was good. 61 points in 68 games. The Calder Trophy, flashes of brilliance, and highlight reel moments. But it wasn't what people were expecting when they heard the word generational. People wanted domination. They wanted the NHL to bend around him instantly. Instead, Bedard was playing on a rebuilding roster that was barely NHL caliber. Then came year 2. A step back statistically, Chicago still buried at the bottom of the league, a -80 career rating, horrible face-off numbers, defensive lapses, and every mistake he made became a 30-second clip that critics used as proof that he was overrated. Sports radio hosts questioned his commitment. Articles began asking if he had been crowned too early. Fans called him soft. Comment sections went nuclear. And the word people whispered, at first quietly, then louder, was bust. It didn't matter that he was 18. It didn't matter that he had no supporting cast. It didn't matter that players like Crosby and McDavid walked into much better situations. All anyone cared about was that Bedard didn't look unstoppable from day one. But while the hockey world turned on him, something else was happening, something no one was talking about. Bedard wasn't spiraling. He wasn't frustrated. He wasn't making excuses. Behind the scenes, he was rebuilding the foundation of his game from the ground up. Every player has a moment of honesty, one that defines the next 10 years of their career. For Connor Bedard, that moment came sooner than anyone expected. He didn't blame the roster around him. He didn't blame the coaching. He didn't blame the system. He looked at his game and realized the truth. If he wanted to become the player everyone said he was, he needed to get faster. Not slightly faster, not incrementally faster. He needed to jump into a completely different tier of NHL skaters. He went into the offseason like a man possessed. The skills coaches he worked with said he was obsessed with one thing: explosiveness. His stride mechanics were rebuilt. His edgework drills were relentless. He hammered strength training designed specifically to elevate his first 3 steps. And then came the subtle but important part. He finally grew into an NHL body. He came into the league as a kid. He returned the next season looking like a pro. Stronger, heavier, more powerful, more balanced in battles. But the most dramatic transformation was invisible from the outside. He didn't just want to get faster. He wanted to weaponize speed in a way that would make defenders terrified before he even touched the puck. That's when everything started to change. The first week of the new season felt like watching a completely different athlete. Bedard wasn't just quicker, he was explosive in a way he had never been before. His stride looked longer, his transitions looked smoother, his bursts through the neutral zone looked violent. Last season, he topped out around 21.4 miles per hour. This season, he's blown past 22 miles per hour multiple times. That may not sound like much, but in NHL speed metrics, that's the difference between being hard to defend and being impossible to defend. What's even more shocking is how he uses it. It's not straight line speed, it's not reckless rush attempts, it's calculated chaos. He began using linear crossovers, the same technique McKinnon uses to freeze defenders. Instead of skating in predictable patterns, Bedard shifts his weight constantly, changing his attack angle on every stride. Defenders can't tell whether he's going left, right, outside, or straight through them. The top players in the league defend based on anticipation. Bedard's new skating completely broke that, and the numbers prove it. He jumped from 10 rush chances per 60 to nearly 15 per 60. That's top 10 territory. That's franchise-changing territory. Now, every time Bedard touches the puck in transition, it feels like something catastrophic is about to happen for the other team. But speed alone is only part of the story, because once he had defenders backed off and scrambling, another part of his game unlocked in a terrifying way. Everyone knew Bedard's shot was elite. It's the reason he went first overall. It's the reason he dominated junior. It's the reason scouts used the word generational before he ever played an NHL game. But in his first 2 seasons, there was a problem. Junior-style space doesn't exist in the NHL. He couldn't walk into the slot. He couldn't drift into open ice untouched. He couldn't rely on goalies being overwhelmed by his mechanics. But this year, his shot looks like it's finally reached its NHL phase. He's not just shooting more. He's shooting smarter. He's ripping pucks through screens before defenders can react. He's dragging shots across his body to open lanes that didn't exist a second earlier. He's releasing the puck from awkward angles that most players can't generate power from. His efficiency exploded. 5v5 shooting percentage jumped from 7% to nearly 14%. Overall shooting climbed from 11% to 17%. Those numbers are superstar territory. And on the power play, the entire penalty kill shifts toward him every time he loads up his release. Goalies lean toward him, defenders cheat toward him. Lanes open everywhere because teams are too terrified of giving him space. His shot didn't need to get better, he just needed to be fast enough to use it. And once that happened, something unexpected took over the spotlight. Everyone thought Bedard would be a shooter first, shooter second, and shooter third. But this season, his playmaking is the part that's melting people's brains. He's one of the league leaders in primary assists, the passes that directly create goals. His vision improved dramatically. His scanning is constant, left, right, behind, ahead. He processes the ice like someone who's been in the league for a decade. He manipulates defenders using his shot threat. If he loads up, defenders panic and collapse. If they collapse, seams open. If seams open, Bedard threads passes through them that shouldn't be physically possible. His timing is absurd. His reads are instant. His deception is elite. This is the part of his game no one predicted would reach this level so soon. And once Chicago gave him line mates who could actually bury those plays, everything started to click at a completely new level. For 2 years, Bedard was doing everything with a supporting cast that wouldn't crack the top 6 on most NHL teams. Line combinations changed every week. He never built chemistry with anyone. Every time he made a brilliant play, it would die on someone else's stick. But this year, the Blackhawks finally gave him real help. Andrei Burakovsky arrived, providing the first genuine top 6 winger Bedard had played with. Young players matured. The roster wasn't elite, but for the first time, it felt NHL caliber. The difference was immediate. Bedard plus Burakovsky became one of the most productive duos in the league in terms of 5 versus 5 scoring rate. Bedard's points per 60 next to him nearly doubled compared to previous line mates. Suddenly, all those brilliant passes actually turned into goals. All those rushes had support. All those setups had finishers. And with line mates he could trust, Bedard started playing with a confidence we hadn't seen before. But it wasn't just the roster. Another change amplified everything. Chicago's coaching overhaul mattered more than anyone expected. Jeff Blashill didn't try to force Bedard into roles that didn't fit him. He gave him structure, support, and predictability. The team defends better as a 5-man unit. The breakouts are cleaner. The neutral zone isn't a disaster every shift. Bedard starts in more high-leverage offensive situations. And on the power play, Bedard was finally put in a position that maximizes his strengths instead of neutralizing them. The coaching didn't just make the team better, it made Bedard more dangerous, and that improvement created ripple effects in the one part of his game everyone used to clown him for. Early in his career, people said Bedard couldn't defend. They said he was too small, too passive, too unaware. But the truth is simple. Most 18-year-olds aren't good defensively in the NHL. This season, though, he made real progress. His anticipation improved. He uses his long stick to intercept plays in ways defenders never expect. His back pressure is faster and more effective thanks to his speed jump. He's winning more face-offs. He takes smarter routes in the defensive zone. He doesn't get lost in coverage nearly as often. Is he perfect? No. But he's no longer a liability, and when your offense is elite and your defense is improving, that's when you stop being a project and start being a problem. Connor Bedard entered the NHL as a kid who looked like he had the weight of a city sitting on his shoulders. Now, he looks like someone who belongs in the spotlight. His interviews are sharper, his presence on the ice is stronger, his confidence is obvious. He doesn't look overwhelmed, he doesn't look rushed, he doesn't look like he's trying to prove anything anymore. He's just playing. You can see the poise in how he handles the puck. You can see the maturity in how he responds to pressure. You can see the calmness in the way he controls shifts instead of chasing them. This isn't the nervous teenager the hockey world tried to tear down. This is a player stepping into his identity, and the moment he did, people who doubted him started backtracking faster than he skates through the neutral zone. All those old clips of analysts calling him overhyped, they aged like milk. Comment sections that once mocked him are now filled with people pretending they never said a thing. Defenders who once played him tight now give him 10 extra feet of space because they don't want to be the next one on the highlight reel. He didn't just change his game, he changed the conversation. Bedard now sits near the top of the league in scoring. He drives one of the most improved offenses in hockey. He embarrasses defenders regularly. He's forcing coaches to redesign how they defend Chicago. The player they called a bust is now a nightmare. And here's the terrifying part. This still isn't his ceiling. He hasn't hit his physical prime. He's still mastering NHL systems. He's still growing. He's still adding pieces to his game. If this is what year 3 looks like, what does year 5 look like? Or year 10? Because the kid who was supposed to fail is now rewriting the future of the league in real time. 3 years ago, Connor Bedard was supposed to be the next hockey icon. Then he became the next big disappointment. Now, he's becoming the player everyone feared he might turn into. The thing about generational players is this: they don't just meet expectations instantly. They grow into them. They rise through adversity. They evolve faster than anyone predicts. And when they finally put everything together, the league has no choice but to pay attention. Connor Bedard didn't just prove people wrong. He flipped the entire narrative, embarrassed every critic, and announced himself as one of the most dangerous players in the world. But here's the question that really matters. Do you think he's already entered superstar territory, or are we only seeing the beginning of something even scarier? Let me know below.